Some people believe that you need to train explosively to maximize how much weight you lift, whereas other people train with a slow rep tempo to increase time under tension. But which one is more important? In this video, we'll look into the science behind rep tempos. First, I'll look into the literature regarding rep tempos and muscle growth, and later on in the video, we'll look into scenarios in which a slower rep tempo and a more explosive rep tempo could be beneficial. When gaining muscle is the goal, you can use a fairly wide range of rep tempos, as long as you have control over the weight. A 2008 study compared to using a rep tempo of 2 seconds, that's 1 second up and 1 second down, with a rep tempo of 6 seconds, that's 3 seconds up and 3 seconds down. At the end of the 13-week study, similar muscle growth was found between both groups. As you can imagine, a repetition that lasts 2 seconds or a repetition that lasts 6 seconds looks quite different, so it seems that rep tempo does not play a huge role when it comes to building muscle. A 2015 meta-analysis supports this. The researchers compiled data from 8 training studies and found that rep durations between 0.5 and 8 seconds result in similar increases in muscle size. So if you have control over the weights you are lifting, most people don't have to closely track their rep tempos. Now, it is worth mentioning though that there is such a thing as a rep tempo that's too slow. Research shows that a repetition that lasts longer than 10 seconds is less effective for building muscle. This intuitively makes sense. Just imagine doing 10 reps that each last 10 seconds. You'd have to use extremely light weight and the intensity of the set would be low. It is also worth mentioning that there is such a thing as a rep tempo that's too explosive and causes you to lose control over the movement. Oftentimes when people struggle with targeting a certain muscle like the side delts, there is a lack of control in the movement. This brings us to a scenario in which lifting weights with a slower rep tempo could help. Lifting weights more slowly almost forces you to better control the weights you are lifting. If the slower rep tempo then helps you better engage the muscle groups you want to train, lifting more slowly is beneficial. For example, if you struggle with training your chest during flies, try maintaining a rep tempo of about 2 seconds up and 2 seconds down. You will likely feel that your chest muscles have to work harder. This is because you now have minimized the use of momentum during the lift. Especially the eccentric or lowering down portion of the lift deserves extra attention in this case. Usually the easy thing to do with an exercise is to just drop the weight once you've lifted it up, but the eccentric or lowering down portion of the lift is at least as important as bringing it up. This holds true for any exercise. If you still have to learn a new exercise or struggle with controlling the movement, lifting slower usually helps. I have used this myself to improve bicep engagement during bicep curls. Previously, I used to rush through bicep isolation exercises, but now with a slower rep tempo and doing the bicep curls seated, my biceps have to work a lot harder. So far, we've spoken mostly about rep tempos and muscle growth, and in this case, as long as you have control over the weight and have a reasonable rep tempo, you'll be fine. But when it comes to gaining strength, the rep tempo you maintain during your movements is generally a bit more important. The theory goes that if you accelerate the weight up as fast as possible, you produce more force than if you lift slowly. After all, force is mass times acceleration. So lifting explosively should help you train your maximal strength performance more effectively. There's some research to support this. A 2014 study found that when you intend to accelerate the bar up as fast as possible during the bench press, you experience greater strength gains than if you deliberately train the bench press with a slower rep tempo. The key word when it comes to lifting explosively for strength gain is intent. As you lift heavier weights, undoubtedly the velocity of the weight you're moving is gonna slow down. That's part of using a challenging weight. You can't always have a very fast rep tempo if you maintain heavy loads. But again, controlling the weight that you're lifting is still important, even if you have the intention to move the weight as quickly as possible. So if you want to improve strength gain, I suggest you only try lifting explosively on movements you have mastered. So in summary, there are 3 key points you need to consider when it comes to rep tempos. First, for muscle growth, a wide spectrum of rep tempos work. As long as you don't have very slow rep tempos of 8+ seconds and have control over the movement, you should be good. As a general aim, I would maintain a rep tempo of 1 second up on the concentric and 1 to 2 seconds down on the eccentric. Secondly, if you struggle with controlling the weight on a certain exercise, aiming to have slightly slower rep tempo usually helps. A rep tempo of 1 to 2 seconds up and 2 to 3 seconds down is effective in this case. Third and lastly, for maximizing strength gain, it is worth trying to perform your compound exercises as explosively as possible, but only if you have mastered the form of the movement. And that is all for this video. If you are new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button so I can share more evidence-based information with you in the future. If you found this video helpful, then also leave me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in the next video.